Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video we will talk about a new key visual that we have seen in the new trailer of the anime and exactly the part of the Quincy characters Sternritter. In fact, I think the biggest challenge the studio and Kubo had is how they were going to build a good plot for the fights of the first invasion that we didn't see, and most of these fights were off screen. So guys, first of all, if you notice in the recent trailer, if we remove Yuhabach's introduction, all the events take place in the first invasion. Even the Sternritter who appeared in this key visual are the Sternritter who participated in the first invasion. That's why we didn't see Lily Barrow or Girard or Pernida. And the number of the Sternritter here is 16 without Yuhabach. And Akon confirmed this number at the end of chapter 484 when he said that they had spotted the Ryatsu of 16 enemies. Thus, these 16 are the ones who attacked Tserity during the first invasion. And if we remove Kilgi Oppi because he was in the Wikomondo, and we added Pepe who attacked the headquarters of the 12th division, this gave us the same number that is here in this key visual. The first invasion had a strong start and the events were very exciting, but the biggest problem, as I said, is that in that invasion Kubo ignored many battles, so much so that he focused only on two fights: Byakuya's fight against Ace Knot, and this fight ended in one chapter, and Yamamoto's fight against Royd and Yuhabach, and this fight was the announcement of the end of the first invasion. Before the invasion we had a fight between Ichigo and Kilgi Oppi, and I find this fight one of the few good fights in the final arc because it has a good building, and I can say that this is the only fight that you can sense is not rushed. And so the invasion started in chapter 484. And it was like a big surprise for the Shinigami. The Van der Reich attacked from several locations, and the attacks were devastating to the point that many of the officers were killed in the first clash, like what happened to the officers of the 3rd division, and Kira was seriously injured. In the next chapter, Kobo started to split the fights here and there, like Rose versus Nanana and Ace Knot versus Byakuya, and then we saw Masculine's intervention, and Bambi versus Komamura, Driscoll versus Hisagi, Roberts versus Kyuraku, and BG9 versus Soifon, and Kangdo versus Toshiro. The ones I mentioned now are at least characters that we saw in front of the screen, like Driscoll, Bambi, BG9, Kangdo, and some of them had small skirmishes like Robert when he used his wall standing and attacked Kyoraku, or Rose's conversation with Nanana. Then we saw Driscoll's fight with Yamamoto, and through that short fight we learned his ability and how he was the one who killed Sasakibe. As for the rest of the Sternritter, we don't know who they were fighting. I mean, like Askin Naklovar was this person. For the ones who don't know, Askin's design was different in the first invasion, and we don't know who was fighting. The same thing can be said for Okitake. I have been searching for a long time just to know who was his enemy, and Yanzol has come to my mind as one of the few possibilities, and maybe indeed it's him, because Nyanzol is present in this key visual, and the hair of that Sternritter looks similar to his. As for the Sternritter Jerome, Berenice, and Lloyd, Zaraki fought them, and all their fights were behind the screen, and Zaraki easily killed both Jerome and Berenice, and there is no doubt that the fight did not exceed few seconds, as happened with Giriko. As for Lloyd, as Zaraki mentioned, it was not an easy fight, therefore the fight was not short, and it is possible that we will see all these 3 fights of Zaraki in the anime. And there is also another fight Kobo showed only its beginning and its end, which is the fight of Zaraki and Lloyd. As we know that Lloyd and Royd are twin brothers, Lloyd is able to copy the power and shape of the person, and he was among the trio that fought Zaraki. So when Lloyd met Zaraki, he copied his shape and the amount of power that Zaraki had at that period. And so Zaraki, when he fought him, found it difficult at first because he was fighting himself, and for that Zaraki raised the amount of his power and thus overpowered him. As for Royd, what happened was as follows. Royd only copied the shape of Yhwach in his memories, and he didn't copy his power, so that when Zaraki attacked him directly, he attacked him with his full power, which was more than double the power of Zaraki in that period, and eventually Zaraki was defeated. Therefore, I want to know how Royd defeated Zaraki and what power did he use. Other than this, we don't know the enemies of Hiraku, Quincy, Mayuri, Rukia, as well as Ikako and Yumichika. It may be other Sternritters other than the 16 who are mentioned in this key visual, like Candice, Meninas, Liltito, as well as Giselle. And there is also another question. Did Gurimi was present in the first invasion? And there is also Charles Domino. There is a novel that talks about his fight with Kira. But the events of that novel occurred between the first and the second invasion. Maybe they will adapt it when the first invasion ends in the anime. So in my personal opinion, some fights of the first invasion will stay like the manga with a few additions, like Bambi versus Sajin Komamura, because there is a second fight of them in the second invasion. While we will see some full fights like those who died in the first invasion, like Lloyd, Jerome, as well as Berenice, because it is unreasonable that you design characters and gave them abilities, and in the end we see them defeated without seeing their battles. So guys, what do you think? Tell me your opinions and see you guys in my next video.